Hello, welcome to this introduction to the Scianti Prince2 courses. In this introduction we'll look briefly at what Prince and the courses are all about, and then there's more specific information at the beginning of each of the two courses that we offer. In this presentation we'll have a very brief introduction to what Prince actually is, have a look a bit at the Prince course tutor who's going to run through the courses with you. We'll look at the Prince2 examinations in outline. They're covered in more detail on the specific courses that we take, and then we'll have an outline of what is in the Prince2 manual. So Prince2 is a method for managing projects. It is not a textbook on project management. There are plenty of those around. Prince is a method for managing projects. It omits certain technical details quite deliberately where these are widely available elsewhere. Otherwise the manual will just get too big. It's the only method of its rigour which is available in the public domain. You can buy the Prince manual, and to that extent you can buy a project management method for your organisation. The manual is published in a publication available at any bookshop or ordered from TSO in UK. It covers the Prince method, and the courses are based upon what is in that manual. There are other ways of managing projects that are available, but Prince offers you a way to manage projects which has a very good track record of success, and the courses are geared to what is in the Prince manual. So the courses are courses teaching about Prince2 as a method of managing projects. They're not suitable for a more general understanding of project management where other courses might be more suitable. A bit about myself as tutor. My name is Ian Proctor. I started life many years ago as a chemist of the lecturing and research variety in various areas of chemistry. I then had a course change for various reasons and retrained as a systems analyst. I worked in the aerospace industry on manufacturing systems for aerospace components, and then in the computing industry on personnel systems. That was the admin side of computing, not the technical side of computing. I then worked at the National Computing Centre in the United Kingdom as a consultant in system development methods and project management methods, and also in the various tools, the software tools which support project management. As part of my work there, I helped to write the first version of Prince, which was written between 1987 and 1989. It was published in 1989. And I've been working on Prince ever since in various different guises as a consultant and trainer. So I set up Scianti in 1994 as a limited company specialising in the provision of Prince2 information, mainly training courses and consultancy assignments. There is a position known as lead trainer, which all or most accredited training organisations have, where we liaise with the examining bodies and the publishers of the manual. There's a two-way channel of communication there. If we are concerned about issues on examinations, content of the manual, etc. We don't control the manual, but there's a channel of advice and raising concerns. So I have wide experience in producing standard and customised courses. I've written all of our own Prince courses myself, and I've produced published customised courses for other public and private enterprises. Prince2 qualifications, there's 3 levels of qualification in Prince2. A foundation examination, which tests a basic knowledge of the method in terms of its vocabulary, the structure of the method and who does what. That is intended to allow someone to work in a Prince2 environment effectively as a member of the project team. A Prince2 practitioner examination, which is a much more difficult one to pass. It tests your knowledge and application of the contents of the Prince2 manual by using a scenario and testing whether you check whether what is happening is right or wrong and whether documents have an appropriate content, etc. So a much more difficult examination to pass. And there's a further qualification, Prince2 Professional, which is not strictly an examination. It tests your ability to apply Prince in a real project environment. In that assessment, you attend an assessment centre over a weekend with a number of other people taking the qualification, and you are assessed by a team of examiners on how you can deal with complex projects and problems that arise on complex projects. One of the limitations of the practitioner examination is it is based on a scenario which describes a project, but that project is described in one side of A4 paper. So it does set the scene and test the concepts, but of necessity it's a relatively straightforward situation, not a real life situation. And the Prince2 manual, chapter 1 is an introduction, looks at the basic terminology and some very key concepts that form part of the Prince method. Prince is based on a set of 7 principles, which according to the manual are essential to effective management of projects and should apply to all project management methods, and chapter 2 describes those principles. Prince then introduces 7 themes which are project management topics, advising you or guidance on how to apply those topics again in a project environment, covering such things as how to organise your project, how to manage risks and quality, etc. Chapter 3 introduces those themes, saying briefly what they are. Then chapters 4 to 10 give a much more detailed description of the themes and how they can be used on a Prince project. The application of Prince is based on 7 interlinked processes that take you from the start of a project through to hopefully a successful conclusion to the project. The 7 processes are described in chapters 12 to 18. Chapter 11 introduces those processes by giving a very high-level overview of how they work together to deliver the project. Prince as written is a generic project management method. You can't use it as written. You will need to think quite carefully how to modify or tailor Prince, as the book says, to the needs of your organisation and then to the needs of each particular project within your organisation. In order to tailor Prince effectively, you do need to understand quite carefully what each part of the method is there for and the extent to which you need to apply it and what degree of rigour. It's highly unlikely that you can completely remove anything from Prince. Everything is there for a reason. You can simplify bits of Prince on relatively small projects, but generally you can't remove it, you can do it differently. There's a series of appendices. Appendix A describes the 26 documents where Prince gives you a suggested content. You can change the content of those documents using the tailoring theme. Prince gives you a suggested content as a starting point. Governance, there's an association of project managers. Prince matches what it does against the extent to which it meets the recommendations of that association. It does meet most of them. Everybody in a Prince project has a role description for the project. The intention is that everything that we need to do is part and parcel of someone's role description. Appendix C gives you a set of template role descriptions as a starting point. Again, you will need to modify those for your organisation. You might need to switch responsibilities around, and for particular projects you might want to switch responsibilities around depending on the interests and knowledge of different team members. Prince offers a technique called product-based planning as part of the procedure for preparing plans. You don't have to use that technique, it's one that's offered to you. I personally think it's a very useful technique for identifying what needs to be done. Appendix D gives an example of how you might use product-based planning. It's only offered to you. There are other ways to produce plans, but I personally think product-based planning is a particularly good tool to use. Appendix E gives you a health check. It's a fairly detailed list of things that should be happening on a Prince project and documentation that you should have. So if you want to compare how well you're doing or how you are doing against what Prince suggests, the health check is a good starting point. You don't have to have identical documentation to the way that Prince defines it. You could say, well, Prince puts it in that document, but we prefer to put it in a different document. That's fine. I personally would think quite carefully if Prince is storing a piece of information about the project which you do not appear to be keeping. Everything is in Prince for a reason. You don't necessarily have to have every bit of information that Prince suggests. You can simplify it, but at least ask the question, are we satisfied that we could leave that out? Further information, Prince is one of a set of publications on management in general and project management in particular. Further information gives you guidance on where you can find those publications or sources of information about Prince and related topics. And lastly, the glossary defines all of the Prince standard terms and some more general project management terms. That finishes the introduction to the Prince courses. I suggest you now move on to look at the introduction specifically to the Prince Foundation course or the Prince Practitioner course, whichever one it is that you're intending to take.